Welcome to this explainer. You look up at the night sky on a clear evening and it just feels peaceful, right? It looks completely still, eternal even. But I've got to tell you, that tranquility, it's a magnificent illusion. Today, we're stripping away that calm facade. We're diving into the actual reality of our home galaxy, and it is dark, it's dramatic, and it's totally unforgiving. The Milky Way is definitely no quiet sanctuary. It is this violent, breathing engine of creation stitched together by ancient cataclysms.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because this breakdown absolutely blows my mind. When you're looking up at those thousands of stars stretching across the sky, you probably think you're seeing the galaxy. You aren't. Not even close. Everything we can physically see with the naked eye makes up just 0.00003% of the Milky Way. That's it. All those stars are barely a single droplet in an invisible, colossal ocean of obscuring dust, cold gas, and mysterious dark matter. We literally live inside a hidden universe.
Part 1. A galaxy built on chaos, the cannibalistic engine.
So, to understand how this massive, hidden structure came to be, we've got to look back at its history. And let me tell you, our home was not born as the graceful, spinning pinwheel we imagine today. No, it is essentially a Frankenstein galaxy. It's been stitched together from the ruins of 1,000 smaller worlds. The Milky Way is fundamentally, well, it's a cannibal. It actually survives and grows by consuming its neighbors. It draws in these smaller dwarf galaxies, completely unravels them, and scatters their stars into long, ghostly tidal streams. And get this isn't just ancient history. Right now, as we speak, the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy is being actively pulled apart by our galaxy's immense gravity. The Milky Way is leaving behind ancient retrograde stars that are actually orbiting backward, as glowing evidence of these ongoing cosmic murders. And because of all this violence, the galaxy isn't just some uniform, flat disk. It's layered, kind of like cosmic sediment, preserving the memories of billions of years of collisions. We happen to live in the thin disk, which is packed with young stars and dense gas. But hovering right above and below us, that's the thick disk. This layer is puffy, it's diffuse, and it's filled with ancient, metal-poor stars whose orbits were completely knocked off kilter, permanently tilted by the sheer force of those massive early collisions. Part 2. The invisible architecture, holding the chaos together. Now, with all of this chaotic merging and spinning and colliding, you might be wondering how the Milky Way maintains any sort of shape at all. I mean, look at this massive physical contradiction. According to classical physics, the stars out at the very outer edges of the Milky Way should be orbiting much slower than the ones near the dense center. But they aren't. They're out there racing around at speeds that totally defy our basic understanding of gravity. By all logic, the Milky Way shouldn't even exist. It should tear itself apart and scatter into the intergalactic void like leaves in a hurricane. So why doesn't it?
Well, the answer is both brilliant and honestly a little terrifying. Dark matter. It's this massive, silent shroud wrapping entirely around our galaxy. It doesn't shine, it doesn't reflect light, and frankly, we don't even really know exactly what it is. But there's so much of it that it literally outweighs all the visible stars and gas combined. Dark matter is the invisible scaffolding keeping the Milky Way from flying apart. It is absolutely crucial because it's the only thing that makes the math work.
Moving right along to part 3, the violent galactic core, the heart of the spiral. Now, what's really interesting about this is once we understand the outer shell holding us together, we can journey inward to a realm of extreme gravity, complex geometry, and ancient violence. Right at the absolute center sits Sagittarius A star. This is a supermassive black hole, 4 million times the mass of our sun, but crushed into a space smaller than the orbit of Mercury. It's surrounded by this bizarre peanut-shaped bulge of ancient stars. But even wilder, towering above and below this core are the Fermi bubbles, these colossal ghostly lobes of gamma-ray radiation. They strongly suggest that long ago, our now sleeping black hole may have flared as a blinding, radiant quasar. Unbelievable, right? Yeah, the core is definitely not a place you want to hang out. Occasionally, binary star systems drift just a little too close to that central black hole. One star gets devoured, but the other one, it gets violently slingshotted outward at over 1 million kilometers per hour. We call these hypervelocity rogue stars. They are moving so incredibly fast that they're going to permanently escape the galaxy's gravitational grip. They'll just travel entirely alone into the pitch-black intergalactic night forever. Part 4, Engines of Creation, Destruction Breeding Life. So far we've seen cannibalism, supermassive black holes, and rogue stars. It sounds like a total wasteland, doesn't it? But here's the catch.
In the Milky Way's ecosystem, violent destruction is an absolute necessity for new creation. Let's walk through exactly how this cosmic recycling works. When massive, giant stars die, they do not go quietly. They explode in these cataclysmic supernovae. Think of these explosions like violent storms ripping through the galactic arms. Their shock waves literally slam into massive, freezing molecular clouds of dark gas, compressing them. This violent squeeze heats the gas, ignites it, and triggers the birth of thousands of brand new suns. The destruction literally fertilizes the galaxy. And during these violent deaths, especially when things like neutron stars collide, the universe actually forges its heaviest elements. The gold in your jewelry, the iron in your blood, they were literally created in the furious heart of an exploding star. Scientists look at the chemical fingerprints of stars today to trace their history. In this way, chemistry becomes a kind of time machine. It lets us read the violent, ancient history of our galaxy like a line of ancient poetry written purely in light.
Part 5. Our place in the dark. Drifting in the Orion Spur. All right, so we've talked about the immense, frankly, terrifying scale of the Milky Way. So let's bring this epic narrative back home for a second. Where exactly do we fit into this chaotic, swirling machine? Well, let's zoom in on our very own solar system. If you're sitting perfectly still right now listening to this, you actually aren't still at all. Earth, our sun, our entire solar system, we are currently hurtling around the galactic core at a staggering 828,000 kilometers per hour. We are caught in this massive gravitational river sweeping forward through the dark. And this brilliantly illustrates the mind-bending scale of time we're dealing with here. It takes our solar system over 225 million years to complete just one single lap around the Milky Way, what we call a galactic year. To put that into perspective, the last time Earth was in this exact spot in the galaxy, dinosaurs hadn't even emerged yet, and the supercontinent Pangaea was just starting to break apart. In the 4.6 billion years since our sun was born, we've only made about 20 total orbits. Think about that. We're absolute newcomers here. So the absolutely crucial point here is where we are making those orbits. We don't live in the dense, chaotic inner core, and we don't live in the major spiral arms where massive supernovae are constantly detonating. Nope, we live in the Orion Spur. It's this quiet, isolated galactic suburb nestled nicely between the major arms. Why does this matter? Because this calm, stable lane likely shielded our young planet from lethal radiation storms. It basically gave life on Earth the uninterrupted billions of years it desperately needed to evolve. We got very, very lucky.
Part 6. The inevitable cosmic collision. The end of the Milky Way.
But our quiet sanctuary isn't going to last forever. As we look to the future, we have to pivot to the dramatic, inescapable destiny of the Milky Way itself. Because everything we know is on a collision course. Right now, high above the horizon, the Andromeda galaxy looks like this faint, harmless little blur. But it is racing directly toward us. And in exactly 4.5 billion years, that countdown will hit zero. Andromeda is going to slam into the Milky Way, and our galaxy as we know it will simply cease to exist. Now, don't panic. This collision won't be some fiery, sudden explosion. Because the space between individual stars is so unimaginably vast, direct stellar crashes are actually going to be incredibly rare. Instead, it will be a slow, elegant dance. Over billions of years, the immense gravity of both galaxies will stretch and warp their shapes. They're going to fold together, pulling massive tidal tails of gas and starlight way out into the void, and eventually merging into one single, colossal new system. The future of our home, quite literally, written across the stars. Our Milky Way is a survivor. It's built on the wreckage of ancient collisions, and it's destined to be unmade by one final, spectacular merger. And it leaves us with this humbling thought. As we drift through this living, breathing structure stitched from the ruins of 1,000 worlds, what shape will our distant descendants see when the night sky folds into an entirely new form? The universe is violent, it is mysterious, and it is undeniably majestic. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep looking up.